you're dating, you're putting yourself out there, you feel clear on what you want, you're doing everything right, but for some reason, something keeps getting in the way. You ghost the guy who actually treats you well. You chase the one who's emotionally unavailable. You go back to the ex you know isn't good for you. You freeze when it's time to express your needs and desires. It's like no matter what the situation, you find a way to sabotage it. No matter how badly you want to find the right person and think you're ready for the love you really want. If this sounds familiar, this video is for you. I'm talking about how to finally stop sabotaging your love life so you can finally receive the kind of love you deeply want. If you're anything like I was when I was dating, you seem to find yourself doing the exact opposite of what you know you should be doing. You go after emotionally unavailable men when you say you want commitment. You stay with the walking red flag even though you know something doesn't feel right. You don't express boundaries or needs because you don't want to seem needy. You hide parts of yourself because you're afraid you'll scare them off or they'll leave if they knew the real you. You sabotage intimacy and push great guys away before they can get too close. From the outside, it might look like you're just making bad choices or that there's something wrong with you. But what's really happening is part of you wants love and to be in a relationship, and another part of you doesn't feel safe receiving it. And this inner conflict creates what we call self-sabotage. But I want to offer you a new perspective of self-sabotage and how you can use this new perspective to really start shifting these behaviors in your dating life. The first thing we need to do is stop calling it self-sabotage. For a very long time, I used this term to describe myself. I identified as a self-sabotager, even like it was just part of who I was, part of my identity. And there was this constant loop happening in my mind, like, why do I always sabotage myself? Like, here we go again. Why can't I figure this thing out? And all that really did was perpetuate the cycle of low self-worth and low self-esteem that I was in and kept me in this really harsh self-talk loop. And the term self-sabotage implies that you're intentionally doing harm to yourself, but this is actually the complete opposite of what you're really doing. What I've learned in my somatic work, both personally and professionally, is that self-sabotage is simply self-protection. The part of you that's chasing the wrong guys or freezing up during conflict or staying quiet when you want to speak up or avoiding intimacy is not trying to ruin your love life. She's trying to keep you safe. And you might be thinking, like, what? What is unsafe about the man and relationship of my dreams? But from a somatic perspective, your body, your nervous system, your subconscious mind is literally trying to protect you from something that feels unfamiliar, threatening, or overwhelming. Maybe you're subconsciously trying to protect yourself from rejection or being hurt again. Maybe you're protecting yourself from vulnerability and really being seen because it doesn't feel safe to let another person in and get to know the real you. And when we call it sabotage, we judge it. We make it wrong and we make ourselves wrong. We try to force ourselves to do better and be better. And we get into this vicious cycle of shame and judgment and pushing. It's like you want a thing, you decide to go for the thing, you can't do the thing, and then you feel shame and like there's something wrong with you. Then a little bit of time goes by, you decide you're ready to go after the thing again, and the cycle just repeats. It keeps you stuck in this loop when what you really want is to gain some forward motion, some forward moving momentum. But when we stop labeling these behaviors as self-sabotage and see them as self-protection instead, we can meet them with compassion and curiosity, maybe even with gratitude. So, what would shift if you said, I'm protecting myself right now? Just try it right now. I'm not sabotaging myself. I'm protecting myself. How does that feel in your body? Maybe your jaw softens. Maybe your shoulders drop and you sit up a little bit taller. Maybe there's a sigh or a deep breath that comes through. Changing this language from self sabotage to self protection was a huge shift for me. And it was the first step towards actually changing these patterns and behaviors for good. Because what it really did for me was give me permission to stop beating myself up and blaming myself for these behaviors. And I could start getting curious about them instead. So rather than thinking, what is wrong with me? Why do I always sabotage myself and ruin everything? Why can't I just get this right? Why can't I figure this part of my life out? And all the really terrible things I used to constantly be saying to myself in a blaming, shaming type of way, it shifted into curiosity. That sounds like, I say I want love, but I lose interest and pull away every time someone shows genuine interest in me. I say I want commitment, but I keep chasing men that keep me guessing and I never know where I stand. I said I wanted a relationship, but I can't stop thinking about that guy who told me he doesn't want anything serious. Curiosity brings awareness to these patterns without judgment, and you can start to see how your nervous system and your subconscious are running the show. And instead of reacting automatically or beating yourself up, you just start noticing. And that's when you can start to shift things. And that's where the healing begins. And this is where somatics comes in. Most of us are trying to fix our dating life through mindset alone. But love isn't a mindset. Love is an embodied experience. And if you aren't experiencing what you want in dating and relationships, it simply means your nervous system is still holding on to these very old patterns that were never yours to begin with. This is how your system was wired as a very young child by the people around you and by other experiences you've had throughout your life. Maybe you learned as a kid that love meant abandoning yourself. Maybe you learned to stay small and quiet in order to be loved, or that may have even been a requirement to avoid abuse. Maybe you learned that having needs made you a burden. Maybe you even learned that men in general are not safe. Maybe a bad breakup or past relationships taught your body that it's safer to stay alone than risk that pain again. Your body is holding all of this. But the good news is that you can rewire these patterns. You can show your nervous system that the love you desire is safe, that it's safe to be seen, that it's safe to be chosen, that it's safe to give and receive love freely in a new and healthier way. So, what does somatic healing look like? It's actually really simple. It looks like noticing when your body is tensing or shutting down and taking a pause instead of pushing through. It's practicing safety in small doses, like letting yourself receive a compliment without deflecting it, or expressing a need or boundary with someone you feel really safe with. It's meeting these different patterns and parts of yourself with that curiosity instead of judgment. It's slowing down and pausing before you respond to check in with yourself and see how you really feel inside. It's working with a coach, a therapist, or a somatic facilitator like myself who can help you move from those protective behaviors into real connection with yourself first so that you can experience more connection with other people. Like I said, all of these things are very simple, but it's not always easy. This is deep work, and these patterns can have very deep roots. But doing this work is what helped me go from a very painful and hopeless cycle of sabotage in my dating life to a secure, loving, conscious partnership And I know that it's possible for you too. So just start practicing. Somatics isn't about being perfect or doing all the right things or having this super intense routine. It's about being present with what is right now in this moment. So notice the patterns, notice what's going on in your body, what sensations come up, what memories come up. Do some journaling and just see what comes out. And as always, please be gentle with yourself and just keep showing up for yourself because that's what creates real transformation. And you're not broken, you're not sabotaging, you're doing exactly what you needed to do to stay safe. And now you get to create a new pattern, a new experience that serves who you are today and will lead you to the kind of man and relationship you really want.